Hello, I'm Bea and I will show you the materials for this experiment. The materials we will be needing in this experiment are 1 egg, 1 meter knitting yarn or string, 1/2 Manila paper or newspaper, and 1 meter masking tape. The egg represents as the test object in dropping from a height. Knitting yarn and Manila paper represents the egg's protection, preventing it from breaking. Lastly, masking tape will secure the knitting yarn and Manila paper to prevent from being removed, and this could be also used to protect the egg. These materials have connection from the theory of Newton's law of gravity and his third law of motion due to its mass and gravity.
Theories in aerodynamics. Newton's law of gravity. Newton's law of gravitation states that any particle of matter in the universe that attracts any other force varying directly as the product of the masses and inversely as the square of the distance between them. This means that any object that has a mass will have direct force acting upon them. This will be applied to our prototype because we will drop our prototype in a certain height that will be pulled by gravity. The second theory or aerodynamics that we used will be Newton's third law of motion, which states that in every action there will be an opposite reaction. This applies to for conducting our test for our prototype, because our prototype, when it hits the ground, it may experience an opposite reaction. It will either break or it will bounce back due to the protection or the prototype protecting the egg. There will be external factors acting upon it, like the height, the mass, and the gravity.
Safety precautionary measurements before, during, and after the experiment. But first, here are the safety steps that should be considered before and during conducting the experiment. Before conducting the experiment, you should become familiar with the potential dangers associated with the work, such as what is the worst possible things that might happen, how to deal with them, and what cautious practices, protective facilities, and equipment are required to reduce the risk of exposure to the hazards. Keep the remaining materials safely out of reach from any person around. Wearing proper attire protection at all times in doing the experiment, such as wearing a shirt that covers the upper torso and arms, lower body clothing that covers the entire leg to the ankle and fully protects exposed skin, closed-toe shoes that covers the top of the foot and supplement face shield when risk of injury. Choose a safe location for the experiment in your home that is well ventilated and away from children and pets. Use a work area with a flat and stable working surface, as well as access to water and other supplies. Before beginning to work, inspect the equipment for flaws, cracks, or damage. Keep all unauthorized people out of your chosen site when materials are being used, if at all possible, to avoid any unforeseen accidents. Follow all of the proper safety rules if anyone is allowed to observe you or participate in the experiment. Label all materials clearly and make precise observations and measurements to avoid making mistakes or having to repeat experiments. Now, what are the measures that we should consider after this experiment? Keep hands away from the face, eyes, mouth, and body after performing the experiment. Wash your hands properly after performing. After you have finally completed your experiment, clean all of the equipment that has been used and return it to its proper storage location. Maintain a clean and uncluttered uncluttered work environment. Clean down the area properly with cleaning solutions or disinfectant.
Hello everyone, this is our prototype. It is a device that will protect biological weapon or simply the egg. This device can be compared to a face mask. It will help us not to break and spread the virus or the egg. As you can see, it has the shape of a cone and it is surrounded by crumpled paper and has a parachute-like structure attached to it. If you are wondering how it was made, why, and who are responsible for this, just keep on watching. These are the materials that we are going to use in making the device. 1 meter yarn, 1 meter tape, and 1/2 manila paper. I will use the manila paper in making the cone structure. This is where we are going to put the egg. In Newton's law of gravity, it was stated that any particles of matter in the universe attracts to any other with force varying. I will also use the manila paper to protect the egg, the inside and the outside of the egg, to avoid huge impact and not to break it when dropped. The tape will secure everything in place. The yarn will attach the parachute that was made up of manila paper to the cone structure. It will hopefully slow down the descent of the device when dropped.
In the first trial, in a 1 meter attempt in experimenting, the egg did not crack. In 2 meters attempt, the egg again did not crack. In the last trial on the second floor in doing the experiment, the egg cracked. But the experiment is still successful due to science and physics.